Not every coffee tells the same story.
Some taste burnt, some taste clean and sweet.
From farm to roast, from grind to cup, specialty coffee lifts quality up. 80 plus score, clean taste, no defect. One sip and your senses connect. PASA Coffee, taste and learn. Better coffee starts when awareness turns. In Bur Dubai we show the way. Specialty coffee begins today.
PASA Coffee Podcast.
Episode 1.
Picture this, right? You're in Dubai. It's a beautiful morning, and you walk into one of those stunning, really minimalist cafes. You order your morning coffee, you tap your card, and you just paid maybe 18, 22, maybe even 28 dirhams for that single cup.
Yeah, which is not cheap.
Right. And as you sit there drinking it, you might have this lingering thought, like, why does this taste so incredibly different from the stuff I make at home? Or, the coffee sitting in the office pantry.
It's the ultimate modern beverage question, really.
Exactly. Is it just the trendy atmosphere, or is it just expensive for the sake of some nice latte art?
Yeah.
Like, what are you actually paying for?
Well, I mean, we've all experienced that sudden realization, right? Where the liquid in that expensive cup feels like a completely different species of drink compared to the instant powder we furiously mix with hot water at our desks just to survive the afternoon slump.
Totally different species is a great way to put it. And that brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. We are stripping away the snobbery, the confusing science, and all that intimidating coffee jargon to answer one very simple question. What exactly is specialty coffee?
A very important question.
I mean, is it just the designer handbag of the beverage world, like a pure status symbol? Or is there an actual physical difference in the liquid? And we're pulling our insights today from the Beginner Series by PASA Coffee.
Right.
They're a specialty coffee academy and service brand based right here in Bur Dubai, and they focus entirely on practical, hands-on coffee learning.
And to answer your question, there is a profound physical difference in what you're consuming.
Okay, so it's not just marketing.
No, not at all. Specialty coffee is not about premium packaging or a cool logo. It's about an unbroken chain of quality. I mean, a chain that stretches all the way from the farm where it's grown to the facility where it's roasted, to the hands of the barista, and finally into your cup.
Wow, okay.
But to understand why it tastes so different, we have to fundamentally change our mental image of what coffee actually is.
Well, my mental image is pretty basic, I have to admit. I look at a coffee bean and I just see a little brown pebble that I grind into a brown powder.
Right, and that is the first major shift we need to make. We have to stop thinking of it as a manufactured brown powder and start remembering that it is a botanical product. It's an agricultural crop.
Right.
Those little brown beans are actually the seeds of coffee cherries. Coffee is fundamentally a fruit.
Wait, a fruit, like something that grows on a branch, gets ripe, and has to be picked.
Exactly. Think about it. Imagine you're at the market buying fruit. You're picking through mangoes, dates, or strawberries. You know intuitively that there's a massive range in quality, right?
Oh, for sure.
Some mangoes are incredibly sweet, juicy, perfectly ripe, full of vibrant flavor. Others are damaged. They might be overripe, bruised, or just, totally tasteless and watery.
Yeah.
Well, coffee is subject to those exact same agricultural realities.
Okay, so when I buy cheap, mass-produced coffee, I'm basically buying the bruised, watery mangoes of the coffee world.
You absolutely are. Specialty coffee is simply the absolute best version of that fruit. It's the perfect, unblemished mango.
Oh, wow.
It has a clean taste, a wonderful aroma, and almost zero agricultural defects. I mean, it doesn't taste dirty or moldy or rubbery or burnt. It just tastes clean and balanced.
Pause on that for a second, because when I've had a cup of coffee that tastes kind of rubbery or incredibly harsh and metallic, am I literally drinking damaged or mishandled fruit?
Yes.
Because I always assumed that was just the strong coffee flavor.
Yeah.
But you're saying I'm tasting actual agricultural defects.
You're tasting poor processing or the mishandling of that seed. When the coffee cherry is poorly grown, badly picked, or carelessly processed, it develops those negative flavors.
Like what, for example?
Well, for instance, if the cherries are left to dry in the sun but aren't turned regularly, they start to rot and ferment too much. That rot physically permeates the seed inside. Right, so when you drink a harsh, rubbery cup, you are tasting that damage. Specialty coffee is coffee that has been relentlessly protected from that damage.
That reframes the entire morning routine, honestly.
Yeah.
But if specialty coffee is the quote-unquote perfect fruit, somebody has to actually verify that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, specialty sounds like one of those marketing words any cafe can print on their menu just to justify a price hike.
You'd think so, but no, there is a literal professional standard. The coffee industry uses a highly structured 100-point grading scale.
Okay.
And for a coffee to be officially classified as specialty, it must score 80 points or higher on that scale. Anything that scores below 80 is just considered commercial coffee.
I'm picturing like a panel of judges in lab coats swirling espresso in wine glasses to come up with these scores.
It's intense, but they don't actually drink espresso for the test. They use a highly standardized controlled brewing method called cupping. Yeah. The people who do this are called Q graders. They are intensely trained coffee quality experts who judge a whole spectrum of characteristics: the aroma, the flavor, the acidity, the sweetness, the body, and the cleanliness of the cup. And cupping itself is practically a science experiment.
How does it work? Do they just like sip it from a mug?
Not exactly. They use a specific ratio of coarsely ground coffee and hot water in small bowls. They let it steep, and then they break the crust of grounds at the top to evaluate the aroma.
Okay, that sounds very proper.
But the actual tasting part is very aggressive. They use a deep spoon, dip it into the coffee, and then forcefully slurp it into their mouths.
Like a really loud soup eating contest.
Very loud. And that aggressive slurping atomizes the liquid. It sprays the coffee across their entire palate and the back of their throat all at once, which allows them to instantly perceive all the volatile aromatic compounds and flavor notes.
Wow.
They're looking for any hint of a defect.
Looking at the margins of that 100-point scale is fascinating because, a coffee that scores a 79 still wakes you up. It has caffeine.
Sure.
But an 80 has a specific character that earns it the specialty crown. I imagine the difference between a 79 and an 80 comes down to the absolute absence of those defects we talked about.
It really comes down to clarity. A 79 might be totally fine. It's a perfectly acceptable cup of commercial coffee, but it might be just a little bit flat, or it might have a very faint, lingering bitterness.
Right.
It just lacks a distinct personality. When a coffee crosses that 80-point threshold, the Q grader is tasting exceptional cleanliness. The natural sweetness of the fruit is present.
Nice.
The acidity is pleasant and vibrant, not sour. You might actually taste a hint of chocolate or berry or citrus, and there is nothing muddying the water.
Getting to that 80-point mark sounds like a high-stakes relay race. You have all these different runners passing the baton, and passing it perfectly is required at every single step, from the farmer high up in the mountains all the way to the barista standing behind the counter.
Exactly.
If one person trips, the whole race is lost.
The farm-to-cup chain is incredibly fragile. Think about the sequential steps. You have farming, processing, storage, roasting, grinding, and brewing. Specialty coffee is coffee that has successfully avoided primary defects at every single one of those stages.
Let's talk about the domino effect of that relay race, because the mechanics of where it goes wrong are where the mystery really lies. Like, let's say the farmer grows a perfect 90-point coffee cherry. They pass the baton perfectly.
Then the processor takes over to remove the fruit from the seed. If they use water to wash the fruit away, which is called the washed process, and their water tanks are dirty, the beans absorb that stagnant water taste.
Oh no.
Batten dropped, the cup is ruined, or let's say the farming and processing were perfect, the green beans are shipped beautifully, then the roaster takes over.
Roasting is basically cooking the seed, right? Applying heat to cause chemical reactions.
Right, and it's a delicate balance of caramelizing sugars and developing flavors without destroying the cellular structure of the bean. If the roaster applies too much heat too fast, they scorch the outside of the bean while the inside remains raw.
That sounds awful.
It is. Those excellent beans will just taste burnt and grassy at the same time. Baton dropped again.
And then we get to the barista. The farmer, the processor, and the roaster all ran a perfect race. Flawless roasted beans arrive at the cafe.
And the barista can still fumble the baton right at the finish line.
Really? How?
A barista's job is all about extraction, controlling how the water dissolves the coffee. Water is a solvent, you know? When hot water hits coffee grounds, it pulls out acids first, then sugars, and finally the bitter plant fibers.
Okay, I didn't know that order.
Yeah. So if the barista grinds the coffee too fine, the water gets trapped. It sits in the grounds too long and over-extracts, pulling out all those harsh, bitter fibers. If they grind too coarse, the water rushes through under-extracting, and you just get sour, watery acid.
That perfectly explains the contrast we live with here in the UAE. Think about the typical office pantry in Dubai or Sharjah or Abu Dhabi.
Oh yeah.
You walk in, you grab a jar of instant coffee, or use a pod from a capsule machine. The first thing you do almost automatically is reach for the sugar packets or the milk.
Exactly.
You aren't doing that to enhance the flavor, you're doing it to hide the harsh, aggressive bitterness of the commercial coffee.
You're masking the agricultural defects, the poor roasting, and the bad extraction. Contrast that with going to a specialty cafe. You order a flat white, a beautifully made V60, an iced Spanish latte, or just a clean Americano.
Right.
When you take that first sip, you don't instinctively grimace and look for a sugar packet. You taste actual sweetness. You feel a smoothness on your palate, and it finishes cleanly without leaving an ashy residue in your mouth.
This means if I pay 25 dirhams for a coffee at a gorgeous cafe with great aesthetic lighting, and it still tastes bitter, it's not necessarily the bean's fault.
Not at all.
The barista might have just over-extracted the shot.
It happens so often. Two different cafes can buy the exact same highly rated specialty beans from the same roaster and serve you two totally different tasting cups. One barista understands the science of extraction. They taste the espresso in the morning and notice that, say, the humidity in the air has changed.
Wait, humidity?
Yeah.
The weather outside changes how the coffee extracts inside the espresso machine.
Yes, coffee beans are highly hygroscopic. Hygroscopic. They act like little sponges. If the air in Dubai is suddenly very humid, the coffee beans absorb that moisture and swell up. This changes how the water pushes through them during extraction.
Oh, wow.
A trained barista adjusts the grinder by microscopic amounts to compensate for that swelling. But the barista at the cafe down the street might just press the buttons using yesterday's settings. That second barista is going to serve you a bitter or sour cup, even though the beans themselves are specialty grade.
So specialty coffee isn't just a noun, it's an active verb. It requires constant management. But that barista adjusting the grinder is only working with what the roaster gives them, right? Like, if a roaster takes a delicate bean and scorches it because people expect dark coffee, the barista can't save it. Which brings us to a massive misconception. A lot of people believe that to be quote-unquote true specialty coffee, it must always be a light roast.
Yeah, the sources from PASA Coffee tackle this directly. Specialty coffee does not exclusively mean light roast. It can be light, medium, or darker roasted, depending entirely on the specific bean and the type of drink you want to make.
Makes sense.
The golden rule of roasting in the specialty world is that the roast level should support and elevate the natural character of the bean. It should never hide it.
How does that actually play out chemically? Like, why keep one bean light and another dark?
Okay, take an Ethiopian coffee. Ethiopian beans are famous for having delicate floral and fruity flavor notes. Those flavors come from highly volatile chemical compounds.
Okay.
If you roast those beans dark, the intense heat literally burns away those fragile floral compounds and destroys the cell walls. So roasters keep them lighter to preserve those specific beautiful flavors. A light roast Ethiopian is phenomenal for a manual brew, like a V60, where you really want to taste the clarity of the fruit.
If you take a delicate floral Ethiopian bean and roast it dark, it's basically like taking a premium expensive Wagyu steak and cooking it well done until all the flavor, fat, and moisture are completely gone.
That is the perfect analogy. You're taking a high-quality ingredient and destroying the characteristics that made it special. Now, look at Brazilian coffees. They naturally tend to have deeper flavor profiles. Heavy chocolate, nutty, and caramel notes.
Sounds delicious.
It is, and a medium roast is perfect for those beans. Applying a bit more heat develops the sugars and enhances that chocolatey richness. That creates the perfect foundation for milk drinks. If you want a creamy, comforting cappuccino or a flat white, a medium roasted Brazilian specialty coffee cuts through the milk beautifully.
You know, this breaks down a major barrier. People hear about floral notes, volatile compounds, and matching beans to drinks, and they think their palate just isn't refined enough for this. They think, I don't taste stone fruit or structured mouthfeel. I just taste coffee.
And this is a core philosophy at PASA Coffee. You do not need an expert palate to enjoy specialty coffee, and you do not need intimidating industry jargon.
Thank goodness.
Right. Taste is for everyone. Beginners just need to pay attention to the most basic physical sensations in their mouth.
So instead of looking for hints of jasmine, I should just take a sip and ask, is this less bitter than my usual cup? Or does this actually smell pleasant?
Exactly. Or simply, I can drink this without adding a packet of sugar. If you notice that the coffee hasn't been over-extracted or mishandled, you are experiencing the benefits of specialty coffee.
It's a lot like music. You don't need to be a professional sound engineer analyzing frequencies on a mixing board to know when a band is playing wildly out of tune.
Right.
And you don't need to be a certified Q grader to know when a cup feels smooth versus when it aggressively coats your throat with ash.
You already possess the sensory equipment to appreciate quality, but we do need to address the reality of the price. Specialty coffee does cost more.
The 28 dirham question.
Exactly. It costs more because of that entire relay race. You're paying for the meticulous care from the farmer picking only ripe cherries, the careful processing, the roaster monitoring chemical reactions, and the barista dialing in the grinder to match the humidity.
All those human touch points.
Yes. And you're also paying for the invisible technology. Coffee is 98% water. Specialty cafes use incredibly expensive reverse osmosis water filtration systems to create a custom mineral profile because if the water is too hard, it won't extract the flavors properly. Add in the reality of commercial rent in the UAE, and the cost makes sense.
So the price tag is justified by the chain of care. But expensive does not automatically mean specialty. There are places that charge a premium simply for the aesthetic lighting, a fancy logo, or a prime location. The question isn't, is this coffee expensive? The question is, does this coffee taste clean?
Which is exactly why PASA Coffee emphasizes that real learning starts with tasting, not just reading theory. We recommend a very simple, practical side-by-side comparison called the 2-cup exercise.
I've actually tried this, and the contrast is impossible to ignore. You take coffee A, which is your normal, everyday survival coffee, the instant powder, the supermarket pre-ground, or the capsule pod.
Right.
And you put it right next to coffee B, which is a freshly roasted specialty coffee from a local cafe. And the one unbreakable rule is that you must taste them both black first. No milk, no sugar.
You have to experience the raw reality of both liquids. When you have them side by side, we ask you to ask yourself 5 specific questions. The first is just about the aroma. Which one smells better?
You bring the instant coffee to your nose, and usually smells a bit like stale cardboard.
Yeah.
Then you smell the specialty cup, and there's an actual fragrance, and then you taste them.
The second question is about the immediate impact. Which one is more bitter? The third question is about the finish. Pay attention to your mouth after you swallow. Which one feels cleaner? Does one leave a gritty, astringent feeling on your tongue?
And that astringency is the over-extraction of those bitter plant fibers we talked about earlier.
Exactly. The fourth question is whether you can detect any natural sweetness in either cup. And the final, ultimate test is simply asking yourself, which one of these would I actually want to drink again?
And this is where we have to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Someone might do this side-by-side test, ask all 5 questions, and realize they actually prefer the intense, ashy bitterness of coffee A.
It happens.
So if they prefer the instant coffee because it's the flavor they've drank every morning for 20 years, is their palate broken?
Not at all. There's absolutely no shame in preference. Nostalgia and daily habit are incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The goal of the 2-cup exercise isn't to force you to abandon what you like or to judge your preferences. The goal is simply to build awareness. It is about waking up your senses to understand the mechanics of what you're consuming. Once you can identify the difference between a clean, carefully handled seed and a damaged, over-extracted one, you have the power to make an informed choice.
It removes the pressure entirely. It's not a test you can fail, it's just an exploration of your own senses.
Exactly.
Well, to wrap up our deep dive today, specialty coffee is not an attitude. It simply means a rigorous standard of physical quality that stretches from the soil to the cup. It means hitting that 80-point threshold on the cupping table, ensuring there are no major agricultural defects in the fruit.
Right. And for beginners, your first job is not to memorize complex coffee vocabulary or study extraction chemistry. Your first job is just to pay attention to the liquid in your cup.
And if you want to keep building that awareness, go follow PASA Coffee for their beginner series. They are an incredible resource. And if you are here in the UAE, go visit PASA Coffee in Bur Dubai. They offer everything from hands-on barista masterclasses to the right specialty beans and equipment.
It really is a great place to start.
Because hearing us talk about it is one thing, but putting your hands on the equipment and tasting the difference yourself changes everything.
It's the difference between reading a book about swimming and actually jumping into the pool.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on the next time you tap your card for that morning cup. We talked extensively about that relay race. Every single touch point matters. The specific mineral content of the soil the tree grows in, the exact temperature the roaster uses to caramelize the sugars, the microscopic adjustments the barista makes on the grinder to combat the humidity.
Right.
If all of those precise actions change the flavor of the cherry in your cup, how much of your favorite coffee's taste is actually the bean itself? And how much of it is the invisible human fingerprints of the dozens of people who cast the baton to bring it to you?
That is the true complexity of what we drink every day.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep tasting carefully.
Not every coffee tells the same stories.
Some taste burnt, some taste clean and sweet.
From farm to roast, from grind to cup, specialty coffee lifts quality up. 80 plus score, clean taste, no defect. One sip and your senses connect. PASA Coffee, taste and learn. Better coffee starts when awareness turns. In Bur Dubai we show the way. Specialty coffee begins today.
PASA Coffee Podcast.
Episode 1.